You're listening to Grain of Salt, a podcast hosted by Donnie Burtles and Christa Glennie Seychew, covering the Buffalo-Niagara region's food and drink scene. Today's episode features Chef Stephen Gedra of the Black Sheep and Chef Edward Forster of Buffalo proper. Listen in as Chris and the boys take a look at the current downtown restaurant boom from a chef's perspective.
So we're here today with Ed Forster, the executive chef at Buffalo proper. And
Hi.
Stephen Gedra, the executive chef and owner of the Black Sheep.
How's it going, guys?
Former owner and executive chef of Bistro Europa, for anybody who has not yet made the leap in understanding that those were connected.
Yeah, definitely.
So, a couple things we're going to talk about today, and I want to start off by just sharing with our audience a little bit of information about you guys, which is going to be uncomfortable for both of you, I'm sure. But Ed Forster is a Tonawanda, North Tonawanda native. Either one of those?
They're all the same, I think.
Okay. He's a Tonawanda
Are they?
native.
Isn't there like the village and the city?
And you went to the Culinary Institute in Hyde Park? And from there, will you just tell me a little bit about the places that you both staged and worked at in a succinct fashion? I'm sure you did.
I worked for John George in London at his Michelin-starred restaurant Vong. Came back to Western New York and worked with Chris Dagler at Oliver's after meeting Mike A. Then got the itch to travel and worked for George Perrier for 3 years throughout like 5 of his restaurants. And then decided Chicago was the culinary epicenter of creativity, and that's what I wanted to focus on there. Ended up working with Christian Delouvrier, who had 3 Michelin stars. Staged at Linea a few times, helped open Graham Elliott for the first year, and they got 2 Michelin stars. And then did Blackbird as their only sous chef for a year, which was killer, with Dave Posey and Mike Sheeran. And then came back to open Mike A at the Lafayette with Mike A. And now I'm doing this.
Doing the proper.
Doing it proper.
All right. And conversely, Stephen, you are a self-trained chef.
Yes, I've worked for no Michelin stars.
However, you have had a pretty stellar career, which I'm going to make you talk about.
Okay.
He looks comfortable.
Yeah. All right. So I'm from Orchard Park, so the North Towns confuse the hell out of me. And I opened Pearl Street in 97. Then went to Mother's. Then I went to Park Lane with Dino DeBell and Joe Kennedy. And then decided I wanted to go to Boston. And
you worked at Blue in Boston.
I worked at Blue in Boston for Dante DiMagistris. And then did a private chef gig for the Pilata family out in Nantucket.
And
then
they run the, I'm not going to be able to say it right, what is the name of the foundation that they operate?
Well, he was a hedge fund guy.
Okay.
They have a lot of charities.
What I'm trying to get to the point of is that at least once
the
a year,
Foundation. Yeah.
You would have really big name chefs, Ming Tsai, Eric Repair, Thomas Keller, come and cook
Payard.
with you together.
Every summer,
for charity.
That was cool. Yeah, those were great. Very stressful, but really
Thomas
cool.
Keller dinners.
Yeah, TK, Teeks. Tried to steal my spoons. Then I went out to Vail for the winter and worked at Larkspur and Vail, and then back to Nantucket, and then we went to Santa Fe and tried to reconcept the Hotel St. Francis, and that went to hell. And
it happens.
Yeah, came back to Buffalo and actually worked for Mike Pijanowski at Europa for like a month, and then went back to Nantucket, Boston, and then finally that's how the whole Europa connection happened.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Mike called me and he's like, "Do you want to buy the bistro?" And I said, "Yes." So that I ended up buying Europa and, slugging it out over there. And now we're on to bigger and better things.
Absolutely. And I will say in a very editorial voice that while both of you, in my opinion, have extremely different approaches to food, you're absolutely 2 of the finest chefs in our area, and you're both charting new waters in terms of reframing what Buffalo diners expect when they go to a local restaurant.
Steve is also raising the bar as what good looking means. You know?
Yeah, that shirt's really,
I love
really
it.
doing it. Can you read that shirt for everyone, please?
It says Pierre Gagne, motherfucker.
Anyway, so what we're going to talk about today is really sort of looking at from both of your perspectives as people who I refer to in the industry as prodigal sons, right? Folks who come
Sure.
back and bring their knowledge with them and are able to make some changes because of that. What I want to look at is your perception, if you can, of the restaurant scene when you left and what it was like when you returned, and if you could share the years in which both of those things happened. Ed, why don't you go first?
Gosh, I guess I came back from culinary school somewhere around like 2002, and I was working at Oliver's. And I guess before I left, it was, I didn't really have many restaurant friends outside of the walls of Oliver's. We hung out with, the people that worked there. It was kind of a little clique. And I would travel and go to eat at different restaurants around Western New York for my own personal growth and all that stuff to see what everybody else was doing. So there's definitely a lot more people that know each other now, which is good, and get to talk. But back in the day, I don't know. like a lot of kitchens in Buffalo were kind of a little rough, and I don't think people knew that they were rough. It was just the way it is, like just dirty, hacky, sloppy shit. Like putting your tongs in your back pocket with your sweaty butthole.
No, the garbage can is the best.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, hang them on the garbage can, please. Oh,
Yeah,
my God,
that's where like this dirty, hacky bullshit that I just used to see in different restaurants in Western New York just is unfathomable. And I haven't seen that, I guess, but it's also because if anybody ever did that, they'd probably lose a finger.
Well, you mean you haven't seen it from your cooks?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So if I can reinterpret that, what you're saying is that things are a little bit more professional and a little more streamlined, and also that there is more of a sense of a community among restaurant people, a friendship and a camaraderie that was not necessarily as broad then as it is now.
Yeah, there's lots of forums now for culinarians to kind of get to know. With Industry Night at C-Bar, Steve was doing Midnight Mass, which brought a whole bunch of people together at Bistro Europa. And just, by being able to dine and have some open kitchens in Western New York, to be able to know people's names, to be able to kind of meet, greet, and hang out, see people out and actually talk and exchange ideas. We get people, we have an open kitchen at the Proper, and we'll invite random, not random, but like our friends back. They'll hang out with us while we're cooking, while we're working, and we'll talk about what we're doing and what they're doing, and, talk about food and do an idea exchange as best as we can. And yeah, I think, everyone, now that kitchens are kind of getting blasted open, and for some reason they have people like Steve and I who, should be sleeping, and, now we're talking. A lot of those doors are being kind of opened up so that we can all help tighten up the scene, even for people that haven't seen that level yet. Because I'm sure there's an Italian-American restaurant in this city that orders from Cisco, and the cooks still keep their tongs in their back pocket.
Right.
And they sweep their cutting board stuff onto the ground, and they stand in filth all day like pigs. But
Tell us how you really feel, Ed.
I just hate dirty kitchens.
We can't tell that at all. And so let me just, you came back, what year?
What year are we in now?
Was that?
Sorry.
It's
It was
2014.
2010, wasn't it? Did you come back in 2010?
No, I think it was like
11.
it was like 2.5. I don't know. It was like 2.5 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was a difference of
10 or 12.
almost a decade.
Yeah.
And Steve, what year did you leave?
I left New Year's Day, 2002. It was right
Same
after that.
year.
It was
Interesting.
that crazy 7-foot storm. That was
Yes.
that Christmas.
I remember.
And then came back in 2009.
And so for you, what do you see being really? What was the biggest change you saw when you first arrived back?
I definitely seen an improvement, but not to the level that I thought it would be. And obviously that's changing. Before I left, I left when I was 23, and I drank my face off. So I was ignorant to a lot of. There just wasn't back then. It still kind of wasn't cool to be a cook yet.
Mm-hmm.
So there just wasn't like a community or, anything like that. Like you just hung out with the people in your restaurant and that was it, and that was kind of what you did. And now, like Ed said, people, we all go to each other's restaurants, come, after service, have a couple drinks together, talk, people randomly show up. It's cool, And it's definitely important because we all kind of keep each other in check a bit. Because, you know, like, Ed walks back in my kitchen, like, if it's dirty, he's going to be like, Gedra, what the fuck, you turd, you know?
It's fine. I'll just grab the broom.
But you know what I mean? So it's kind of like, you know, we're all competing in a very friendly fashion, but also honing ourselves on each other.
Yes.
Which is important. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think really any industry would be wise to do that.
Right.
You're foolish to not pay attention to your
Right.
competition in a way that is not necessarily about beating them.
Yeah.
It's about learning from them, right?
Well, I mean, you know, like, yeah, we're in competition for dollars, but like what I do and what Ed does are two totally different things. Like, you don't go, you know what I mean? Like, you go to Ed because you want Ed's food. Like,
Right.
it's not the same as us, so it's not really competing. And one thing that I will say that I enjoy now is kids coming out to stage. I mean, that was, you know, that never happened, you know, before I left. And kids
Not
are actually
in Buffalo.
like, yeah, and like, you know, I mean, you know, I can get cranky and mad because I have a lot of stress, you know, and I'm carrying a pretty large burden now, but you know, we have a good time most nights, and it's a nice, good environment for kids to see, like, you can have a good time and still crank out 130 people.
Right.
And, you know, have fun doing your job, because that's kind of what you cook. Like, you don't do it for a paycheck. That's a bonus, you know?
Yeah, and you have like a 50-seat restaurant, so that's like 2.5 turns.
Yeah.
In an average restaurant, that's huge.
Right.
Like, and to be able to do that with a smile is like the best thing in the world.
Yeah, it's the best. And, you know, I mean, me and my sous chef, we've been together for 3 years, and we kind of, you know, we're growing our other guys, and we're starting to click, so it's nice. Like, you know, we had a couple stages last week, and they were just like, this is great. Oh, my God, you guys are the best, blah, blah, blah. Because we're feeding them. We're, like, talking about stuff and explaining everything and why we're doing this, why we're doing that. And, you know, everybody, we get some labor maybe on a Saturday, and that helps. And then they walk away with a good experience and, you know, just show that you can be professional and have fun at the same time. So,
And how much do you think in Buffalo, you talked about how industry night and midnight mass and the other things, Ed, you ran an event called Push, which was about chefs coming together in a chef-only environment and sharing and talking about new things, whether it be techniques or ingredients. I would throw Nickel City Chef in there as a thing that helped. I mean, that's...
Oh, yeah. I met everybody through that.
Well, and that's... When I started Nickel City Chef, it wasn't because I thought that people needed to meet each other. It was because I wanted the audience to appreciate local farmers and local chefs the way they appreciate freaking Guy Fieri, at least,
Well, you did a hell of
right?
a job, Christa.
Oh, well, thanks. But the fallout from that, which was brilliant, that I didn't expect, was that I thought everybody knew each other, and they didn't. And that's where everybody got to, like, meet everybody initially, and it was that was a really fun part. So I would say that Nickel City Chef had something to do with it.
Absolutely.
But do you feel that in Western New York that the internet, be it through Twitter or Facebook or even just being able to text each other in each other's kitchens one-to-one, do you feel that that's also contributed to better understanding among the chef group in terms of how they view each other and what they see in each other's kitchens and that sort of thing?
I mean, I guess social media is like, you know, and photographing and being able to exchange ideas. Yeah, the internet has been huge. You know, I can see what X, Y, and Z person are doing, you know, 10 miles away or 100 miles away, and it's really great. It's really cool to see people, you know, bouncing ideas back and forth. And, you know, if I have a question, I can easily shoot it over to, you know, James, Steve, or a myriad of other, you know, people that, you know, I really respect, and I can get an answer in like 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So
And Steve?
I mean, I don't really use the internet much anymore, just because, like, I think Facebook is stressful more than anything. So I just kind of, like, shut that down.
I'm sorry that I'm
It's
giggling.
just, you know, people.
are you getting poked too often?
Well,
Is that
people they just fill your head, man. Like, you get on that thing and you're just, like, getting stressed out about the stupidest shit, and I can't handle that right now. So I'm fragile.
It can throw your perspective
Yeah.
or change your course
Right.
unintentionally.
Right. So I kind of, you know, I've backed off that. But, yeah, I mean, texting, we do that all the time. You know,
Yeah.
just throw pictures around or whatever. Like, hey, check this out. So, yeah, definitely.
So what needs to happen next? So we've built a community where, the food is better. The kitchens, we would hope, are cleaner for the most part, or at least there are places that have cleaner kitchens. Ed's shaking his head no. And built a community for the people who are actually responsible for, creating the food and making the decisions about what's available here. What's next? I mean, we're growing so fast, but are we growing without thought? Are we growing without a shared goal? Are we just growing for the sake of growing? I don't. It doesn't even have to answer that question. I'm just saying, what else? What do we have to do?
I guess the easiest connection is the housing boom. Like, we keep putting up big box buildings on the waterfront and, out in places like Larkinville.
Yeah, the medical campus, jobs are coming back. So obviously restaurants follow suit, but I'm concerned that we're about to hit a bubble. You know what I mean? Like, it's about to pop because people are like, oh yeah, it's like, yeah, exactly. Like, there's a restaurant boom. It's crazy. Like this past year, it's been nuts.
Yeah,
like,
and everybody's another dozen coming.
Yeah, you got James coming. You got the Black Market dudes going. And
others we can't talk about.
What's that? Yeah, exactly. And I don't know what to think of it because I'm not that intelligent to predict economic trends. But I'm concerned that we may hit a bubble and people may suffer, and I
don't know.
Would hate to say that.
I don't know where all the guests are going to come from. I don't know where all the dollars are going to come from.
Yeah, I mean, there's, I don't know how many people have moved back here, and especially, moneyed people who are going to patronize restaurants.
There's definitely not enough.
There's not enough to draw from. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about staff first.
Oh, yeah.
I want to steer us in a couple ways, but let's talk about staff first because this is a conversation that I have had with every chef in town and that I've had with some chefs a lot.
Yep.
And it's why actually Mike and I started Industry Night was not just a place for people to meet each other, but also to really culture the idea among up-and-comers that it's a community that you can easily be part of and that dishwashers are as welcome as owners and executive chefs and sommelier or whatever. And so the idea was to give people another reason to stay in Buffalo and to feel that they were part of something bigger than just the dishes they were washing or the salad they were making. And so clearly that's something we're 3 years of Industry Night, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my God, that's scary.
I know, it's crazy.
So, and we know, when a new kid comes to town, if he comes to Industry Night, he's going to get a job.
Totally.
Totally. I've seen it happen 50 times.
Yep.
So that's working in that sense, but it's not enough. We're missing people who want to work hard. We're missing people who don't think it's celebrity chef 101, who will understand that you have to come up through the ranks and that you're not ever going to make a lot of money. And where do we find hardworking people in 2014 in Western New York where you can go work at Geico and answer the phone all day?
I think that's a problem in the industry wide.
Everywhere.
I don't think it's just Buffalo. I mean, I've seen it everywhere I've gone.
Don't you think it's extra bad right now?
Yeah, because
so fast?
just the whole I think it's more just like the whole celebrity chef phenomenon.
Mm-hmm.
Like everybody just thinks boom, these guys just all of a sudden became famous, and it's like, dude, you didn't see the 25 years leading up to that.
Emeril Lagasse ran the best restaurant in the country.
Yeah,
that busted his dick.
Yeah,
and
there's some guys that still bust their ass, and it never stops. You don't ever stop.
I mean, I don't think Mario's hanging out.
No, you break your stones. I mean, that's part of the gig is you break your freaking stones every day.
Yep. You
know what I mean? You may have some days that are you don't have to break your stones so much.
But if you're wired right, you thrive on that. Right. I mean that's the goal is to thrive on the stress, not to crumble under it.
To get it right, you have to do it all the time to stay on top of all of your shit. Yeah, because it takes that to process good food, to bring in a pig. You have to frickin' work to do. Yeah, it looks cool. Shit, look at that. It's a pig. You want to know what it is? It's a lot of fucking work.
Yeah,
a lot.
My biggest problem right now is the 22-year-old sous chef, the kid that graduated culinary school at 21, and there's so many opportunities, which is great because there's so many goddamn restaurants opening that the 21-year-old kid who can't break down a rabbit now is in charge of breaking down a pig,
right?
And he can go make $42,000, and he doesn't know how to tie his fucking shoes,
right?
And now he's he can jump at that opportunity because he's 22 and it's available, and everybody's just willing to throw money at
because they're just trying to plug holes.
Well, and the second his exec goes away, he'll get promoted because there's so few people in town.
Yeah, but that still doesn't mean that he knows how to even cook
the fundamentals.
He can't season food. He can't, and then there's all the organizational stuff. Then there's do you
management? HR.
That's the worst part. The people.
Right. There's learning 3 languages because your dishwashers are from 7 different countries. you know, and or just,
There's no way I'm learning Aramaic, just so you know.
my French has gotten real good again. I'm really excited about that. That's been the best part about opening this restaurant.
So clearly staffing is an issue, but we talked about also density of population and really the fact that all these restaurants are opening downtown. And although there are a lot of apartment buildings that are occupied downtown, are they occupied by diners?
Right.
Are there enough of them to sustain the number of restaurants that are opening downtown? And my response when people complain that there's too many restaurants opening is honestly the restaurants that I see closing are restaurants that should close. I'm not seeing great restaurants close because they don't have enough people. You're seeing restaurants that really have not made an honest effort to appeal to a contemporary diner in a long time.
If a Cisco truck is still pulling up to your back door and bringing in like pre-portioned fucking chicken next to bleach and all the rest of that and paper products and vegetables, then you shouldn't have a restaurant.
Cisco does have the bomb delis, though. I can't get those damn delis from anybody else.
The quart containers?
Yeah, like the double-walled ones, bro. Like, I went down to Curtsy, and the dude's like, yeah, I got these delis. And I'm like, let me see that. Nope.
That just melted when I put water in it.
Totally. I'm like, how am I supposed to drink out of this?
I can't drink my coffee out of this.
Exactly.
So, and so that's my response when people worry about there being too many restaurants.
Well, you know,
keep your shit in check.
The cream rises to the top, and you know somebody's got to go. I mean, I'm scared shitless. Like, look where my restaurant is. Like, I put my balls out on the table. Like, I mean, it's not like it's definitely a risk, and it still is. Like, I'm still terrified.
Well, here's the other thing that I wanted to point out is that the suburbs are where the bulk of Western New Yorkers live.
Yes,
and if anybody has gone to the suburbs, they know that it is very hard to find good food in the suburbs that is not
Tully's?
pub food.
Are you fucking kidding me?
That is not pub food. Pub food, excellent. And there are certainly shining examples of restaurants that are located outside of the city that are great.
Sure.
But the majority of the restaurants that are located outside of the city aren't very good. And I question, are they not very good because people in the suburbs don't dine out? Are they not good because people in the suburbs don't want anything different? Are they not good because there isn't anybody interested in running that kind of restaurant out in the suburbs?
I think my indication for that is the fact that my sister had to close that cheese shop down.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I thought there was a home run in Williamsville.
So for people who don't know, Jill Forster, who owns Nickel City Cheese and Mercantile.
That was a layup.
I thought it was a home run.
Is Steve's sister.
Yeah.
Just so you...
So,
you bring beautiful cheese, and
she's got the bomb. I mean, she's got the bomb.
No, there's nobody who does what she does.
No, but you can go to Wegmans and you can get some of those same cheeses, but they were cut
and they're old
fucking
as shit.
3 weeks ago.
Yeah, they're gross.
And if you cut something, cheese is a living, breathing organism. Yes. Every time you cut it, it deteriorates and you fuck it up, and then you're just leaving it to rot in a shitty cheese case at a Wegmans, and the consumer who doesn't know any better, and it's not their fault, but that's all they've gotten, and then you have Jill cutting to order, to size, to whatever you want, so you don't need a half-pound prepackaged.
And she'll taste you on all that stuff.
She'll let you taste everything, and not only that, but she actually knows so much,
she's a
and
smart
she
cookie.
trains her staff so well
that
she can teach me things or you things about cheese that we didn't know, and we think we're cheese people, right?
Yeah. So I think that's my indication of, like, I was like, holy shit, they don't want that.
Well, I
know what I mean?
don't think they know yet. Like, and
that's my point. I feel it's my charge as the food editor at Spree to be educating and making people want things that they didn't know they wanted, right? Like this.
Yeah, like if you can get the amount of stuff that you want, you don't necessarily have to buy like the lob of cheese. If we're talking about cheese, you don't have to necessarily eat the pre-battered like frozen fish thing that comes in a box. When you can go and get actual food like made in a batter in a restaurant, and it doesn't taste like a greasy sack of garbage bag. Like, but if people don't know the difference, and if they sit down on Friday night and they have the $11 fish fry, and they're happy, and they go home and they're like, unbuttoning the pants and rubbing the belly.
It does make me happy sometimes.
Well, so here's the thing, though, is what I want to understand is I fully believe, and I think I've seen it happen in all the work that I've done. I see it happen all the time where you bring somebody in who doesn't know anything about local, or doesn't know anything about cocktails, or doesn't know anything about eating, a pig prosciutto that's been made in-house, or doesn't understand, the brilliance of a Tea Meadow hog, or doesn't understand the amazingness of a potato from Old's Farm, or whatever. We could go on and on and on. People who have no reason to appreciate good coffee, whatever it is, and you share that with them, and most people
They respond.
openly embrace
Yeah.
and seek more information.
Right.
Even if they're not going to consume it, even if they're not going to buy a amazing, siphon coffee siphon for their house,
Right.
they're interested.
But then they're going to make a
curious.
connection to the next place too.
Right.
Like
So-
I was so happy when Proper, like, they're like, oh, yeah, we're doing Chemex. So now we have Chemex. I know Publix doing Chemex. So like people are like, wow, what's this? And I had it here. So I'm going to like, oh shit, I know what that is.
So
You know what I mean? And I think most people like are seeking a better quality of life, and good food and drink is certainly a big part of that.
But to go back, like, which one of us wants to spend, our $750,000 on a dice roll in the middle of, Clarence or
No, not me.
like you need to
I'd
really
rather go on the
dig
west
your-
side.
the people who want to eat from those areas are accustomed to driving into the city. for
Yeah,
it.
I mean, I don't know, and it's not like I'm, we're trying to like alienate or say like, there's not educated diners in the
there
suburbs.
absolutely are.
I don't get it. You know what I mean? Like I don't understand why there is a dearth of good restaurants in the suburbs. You know what I mean? Like it's just.
And so, to me, the obvious, though, is if we're worried about having enough population in the city to maintain the better restaurants, what can we do? What should we do? What are we not doing to reach into the suburbs and give people an experience that will change their perceptions in a way that makes them open to understanding that there are safe places to learn really cool new things. Like, I mean, a perfect example is I took my mom, who lives in the suburbs, to Proper, and we're hanging out, and we had some nice food, and it was lovely. And I said, hey, can we have a vermouth tasting? So we sat at the bar. It's 5 o'clock on a Saturday. It's not busy. Wasn't busy at all.
Right, sure.
Because it was early. And, the guys at Proper took my mother and I through, tasting 10 vermouths or
that's
whatever. And it's something most people have not done, and
Right.
most people
I don't
wouldn't
think
ask
I've ever
for,
done it.
right? But totally just changes your entire perception of both what kind of an experience you can have at a bar. Don't do that if it's
Day
busy,
drunk.
by the way. Don't ever do that if it's busy. But what kind of experience you can have at a bar, and in a safe environment
gonna
where
kill you.
the bartenders were like thrilled to have the
Yeah.
conversations and to share stuff with us.
I mean,
I think people need to look at restaurants as a place to learn things and ask questions.
right. Well, people are intimidated, and I don't know. I guess I can maybe see why, because it's human beings are afraid of the unknown. That's just human nature. So it's kind of, you have to try and be like extra friendly, and that's hopefully you have friendly staff that will
Hospitality.
engage people. Yeah, I mean hey, what up, Ritz Carlton?
You
Ladies
want a
and
hand
gentlemen
job?
serving ladies and gentlemen. That's
You
what
want
we
a
all
hand
try to
job?
be.
Sure, give me a glove.
But I think like to infiltrate the suburbs, what you would have to do is open. Elm Street's killing it. Everybody loves it.
Yes.
And Brad's like, he's not. It's really simple, but it's unique. Like he's definitely got he's got his B-Rad style. That's not
Well, it's very contemporary. What he's doing, even though it's in a wood fire oven, is
Right.
pretty contemporary.
exactly.
How does he not burn that beard off?
I don't know.
Beautiful
Do they all
beard.
Have,
They all have
beards.
beards. I think
all have
Lucy's the only one without a beard.
Yeah, I know, no doubt.
They
So
gotta
I think
hire some women beards.
you would have to do like something really simple and start out, and then kind of like as you engage more people, just get them to trust you to roast a chicken
And
right,
so
and be like, "This is an old chicken," and then people will respond, and then you can kind of elevate and elevate and elevate. But I don't know, man. I'm already. I wouldn't open a restaurant anywhere in the suburbs. Maybe
I
don't
really
know.
want to. I have to wait until the current
Just for
moons
bragging rights?
heal. No, because it's like I want to be able to like open up a burger restaurant out in Williamsville and just do kick-ass, beautiful burgers and be able to play David
Well,
Bowie
yeah.
and
burgers are
tuck
that's,
it in
that's
and
a,
dance
That's
around.
a no-brainer.
Right.
Well, yeah, but also like you can do things like we were saying, like hedge the gap, but like figure out some cool shit to do with burgers, and you can do grass-fed beef from Plato Dale,
Right.
you can start introducing these things a little
Absolutely.
bit more,
Yep.
and also kind of pulling them over to the dark side.
And so is maybe part of the way that we get people to engage is to try to get suburban restaurants to make some changes to how they approach their clientele.
I don't-
I mean, that's kind of a ballsy thing to say because you can't really.
It's
do
really
that.
hard
I'm not
because-
trying to tell people dictate what
Right,
other
exactly.
people do.
Like
but
I respect anybody who owns a restaurant and
Of
does
course.
it successfully. Like I don't give a shit what you're doing. If you're operating and you're making a profit, I respect you.
even
Because
if the Cisco truck pulls up in the back.
hey man, listen,
looking
you
at
gotta
it.
you gotta do what you gotta do to survive. And it's
if that's what your client
it's
wants.
I've owned a restaurant. This is my 5th year of doing it. I know how difficult it is, and it's fucking hard. To try and stay. you can't figure it out. There's no way you're ever going to figure it out. Like what people want, what you're, you know what I mean? Like it's a crapshoot every day. Your power levels, you don't know what the hell you're just guessing every day pretty much. So, you know, it's hard to say that they're doing it wrong because if they're making a profit.
I'm not saying they're doing it wrong. I'm saying, like, is that the best place to introduce people to maybe new ideas in a place where they're already comfortable?
Well, hopefully what happens is, you know, as we reach the saturation point of restaurants in the city.
Well, you're getting me now.
Yeah, it spreads. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
right.
I mean, that would be great if they go to their local restaurant and, you know, whatever, you know, like there are some fucking kick-ass restaurants. Like you've mentioned Elm Street, Debris, like
Carmelo's.
But, yeah, if
Carmelo.
people go, you know, into the city and they start to have like lots of, you know, local, delicious, super yummy, thoughtful food.
They're going to bring it back.
Like, and they go back to their local restaurant. They're like, you know, to the
Where'd you
barman
get that
owner.
salmon from?
Yeah, to the barman owner, and they're like, dude, up your fucking game, man. I'm sick of eating this shit. Like, I love this place, and I continue to support you. All I want is you to spend like 13 cents more on, you know, X, and I'll pay $2 more for it. But stop feeding me fucking pre-portioned, you know, bullshit.
Yep, I agree.
Very cool. All right. So is there anything else that we need to think about as a community as we grow, as we move forward, as we're looking at educating consumers and trying to provide a gracious level of hospitality where people feel safe to ask questions and all of that kind of stuff, and also growing staff? What else do we need to look at this stage of where we are?
I just hope that, you know, our brain drain of talented young restaurant professionals stops leaving. Like, I know that, you know, my sous chef, Mike, he's 26 and he stayed, and that kid's a badass. He's a beast, you know? And now my dining room manager, Dave McMurray, who worked for Dagler, and he was my sous chef at one point, went back to CIA, ran the Roundhouse in Hudson Valley or whatever, and then came back, and he's staying. So hopefully there's going to be some retention of that.
And do you think that it's more likely now that we'll retain good people than 5 years ago because of both?
Well, there's places to go.
The
like,
growth,
you know, right? I mean, why would you move? You leave your family. I mean, yeah, like moving to Boston was cool and all that shit, but like,
but you did it so that you could learn.
Right.
We're currently at a place where
if I had a chance to learn, I would have stayed probably. You know what I mean?
Like if I could have just spent fucking 2 years at Park Country Club with James, like, you know, making me fucking ramen soup and, you know, everything every day, I'd be like, I don't have to
need it. Yeah, exactly.
I can sit here and eat ramen and make charcuterie and like actually learn. But
so to answer your question, I think, you know, that's, you know, as the bar gets raised, like young kids will be like, wow, you know, there's badass restaurants I can go.
You're also talking about Mike Thill, who stayed 3 years. Like, we currently have the 3-month restaurant employee. Who's
so that's what I want to talk about next.
Fucking eunuch, little dick like piece of shit that can't, like, every kid that comes into a restaurant and like
somebody's having a bad
works
time.
there for, you know, 6 months. It's like, dude,
you can't learn anything.
You
in
don't
6
even know
months.
how to tie your apron. I can't, like, I haven't even gotten to a point where I can show you how to do anything beyond like cut gem lettuce, you know, cut lettuce. Like, and you're going to go and use that on your resume and be like, go to the next restaurant in town. And everybody, like we've talked about, is hurting for staff. So they're going to keep taking, you know, and then that kid's going to get graduated. He still doesn't know how to, like,
right,
just
but he's automatically moving up the line, which we talked about,
and
right?
Now he's getting more money because he can jump, and he's going to go to the next restaurant and be like, hey, I'm making this much here. And the next guy's like, all right, I'll give you more. And then they take him right on. I have this unspoken thing where it's like, well, it is spoken. That's not true. It's like, if you want to work here, you go to your job, you quit, and on your last day, then you can come in and talk to me about the job.
Right.
If you want to work here, quit, because I'm not going to do this.
You're not going to play the game where one chef, one place will offer you $1 more, and will you offer another $1.25 or whatever? And it's which is a game a lot of people play.
I will gladly look Steve in the face and be like, "Hey, bro, you know, so and so that worked for you last year, or you know, like last week. His last day was Saturday. Came in on Monday and asked me for a job. He works here now." Like,
rather than I'm stealing your dude for another 25 cents an hour.
Yeah, rather than like, hey, I'm putting my notice in because, you know, I can go make 50 cents more. It's like, if you're, you know, I don't know. Money is money. Everybody has to, you know, take care of their Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Everyone has to do that. But when it gets to the point where you're just like, you know, I mean, a lot of the cooks right now have some fucking power.
Yeah, I mean, I've played the game because I had to staff my damn restaurant.
Yeah,
like I took half of Mother's Kitchen, dude, and you know, it's. I think it was more for the opportunity. I don't even think they made, you know, I think they kind of made like a vertical
financially they just moved.
Because they wanted to, you know,
it was
They
a
wanna
horizontal
learn
move.
and be professionals.
But that's okay.
So the
But
investment right now.
I appreciate the fact that you said that, and I'm gonna certainly think about that the next time I'm hiring someone. No, it's I
Really?
mean, that's really
that's huge.
that's pretty. You know,
It's
that's
a
pretty.
it's a
I
really
mean, I'm at the point right now where I have a 5-man kitchen that is operated by 2 guys, and I would rather go in every day at 9 o'clock, work till 3 in the morning, and want to cry every day at the end of the day, than to sit there and be like, you know, X restaurant, you know, like have Paul Jenkins come in and be like, yeah, I took your fucking employee.
Right.
I won't do that. So right now I'm just banging my head against the wall, and we work hard, and that's, you know.
well, and so I mean, the takeaway for any young person who's interested in becoming a chef or who is in the
Don't be a
beginning
little bitch.
in the beginning stages of culinary school, which is a whole nother conversation. I think they really need to understand you're not going to make money in this job. If you're lucky, somebody will write a story about you and you'll get your picture in the paper one time in your whole life.
You're not doing it to get famous or rich.
And
dumb.
the best thing you can do is like have pride in being the best you can possibly be at your job. And the only way to do that is to stay somewhere with a guru chef long enough to learn everything you can from them before you move on to someone else.
I mean,
I'm blessed every day. I have an open kitchen. Like, yeah, before we started recording, like we talked about the follies of having an open kitchen because all of a sudden 3 shots show up and you're like, dude, it's 7:30 on Friday. Go away. But you know, like absolutely
no shots
not.
till after
like, yeah,
10.
Yeah.
We got to wait till
No
at least
doubt.
7:15. But yeah, that's 15 minutes less than what I just said. So, but I mean, the best part of my day is I can like, you know, we had a walk in, you know, like we had 20 people right at 5 o'clock, and it's, you know, 2 of us and a guy who used to wash dishes 2 days ago, cranking out 20 people, you know, all at the same time. We're running around like a bunch of idiots, and we're all like kind of really grouchy and crabby because it's 6:15 and already
That
we just
first
got our
turn
shit
is
pushed
always a
in,
bitch.
and it's like, what the fuck?
Always.
And then, you know, I look up and I'm super grumpy, and there's like this sweet 65-year-old lady. She's like, all I do is dine out all around for 65 years. You know, like we're well to do. Sorry, but like, you know, we just dine out for 65 years. And today, like, I was emotionally moved, and I was so fucking happy. And like, I'm just sitting there, and I want to like break down in tears.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you know
I
what?
mean,
This is
That's why
this
you
is
do
why
what
I
you
get
do.
up in the morning, and I fucking grab Crombie, you know, like my partner in this whole kitchen thing, and I'm like, this is Scott, you know, and she's like, thank you guys so much. Like, we're from, you know, Carolina or another state or city. Is Carolina a state?
I think there's 2 of them.
I don't know. They
East Carolina
seceded,
is a
right?
state, but
East
not
Carolina?
West.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, like, you know, it's that connection to people. It's like, if you're doing this for a paycheck, you're never going to be happy.
Or for fame.
And you're going to be
That's-
the guy that jumps from restaurant to restaurant.
Yep.
So until you start doing it to make people truly happy, and for that emotional experience of like creating something and having people smile.
That's
it.
what I was just gonna say is like I don't think people understand like how great of a gift it is to like connect to people through food, because like, I mean, one of the, you know, the most powerful sense you have is your sense of smell, and you can instantly, you know, put something in front of somebody and they're boom right back in grandma's kitchen.
Yep, transport
frickin'
them.
30 years
Yep.
ago, and it's just like, I mean, I've been there, and it's like, holy shit, what'd you just do? You're a fucking wizard. Like you're a goddamn genie. You're a
Yeah.
fucking genie. You know, and like to have people like look at you like, and you know, we always remember the one asshole or the one person that ruined your night or whatever. But then you
yelped.
get to, you know, you don't think about the other 100 that you made really freaking happy.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's 'cause
the
you strive
paycheck's
for
the bonus,
perfection.
man. I mean, I didn't make shit at Europa for 5 years. I made
Dick.
I made poverty level, less than poverty level money. And I went in there, ground out 14-hour days every fucking day because I loved it. And I got to look at people and make them smile. And that's awesome.
And sing Wu-Tang.
And throw down some ghetto boys.
I think it's interesting how, as connected as we are today because of social media,
We're less
because
connected, actually.
we are totally disconnected
Yes.
from authentic emotional experiences with human
Yep.
beings that only exist when 2 people are face to face
Yes.
looking at each other, that you just cannot achieve
No.
via Twitter or
No.
anything else. And you know, I work in an office full of people, and most of my communication all day happens via email
That's crazy.
or iChat or not in person.
That's crazy.
You know, so I get up and go talk to people because I really find it to be far more successful and rewarding. I think that we are raising a generation of people who are so socially awkward and disconnected emotionally or internally they internalize all their emotions because it all happens through their thumbs or
Right.
whatever rather than in person.
Right.
Like, is the next generation even going to be able to appreciate an authentic in-person experience like you're talking about in that work environment where you're sharing something with them that could touch them?
Right.
Will they even be able to connect with you in a way that you would know that?
I sure hope so. And I think, it's now we sound like the older generation.
I know we do.
You know what I mean? And it's like,
I feel like the older
we were that
generation.
once, and like, we turned out
You're
fine.
the youngest person in the room.
I know.
Tommy
Besides
Burles.
over there.
I don't know. I think the next generation is going to be fine. It's
Of course they're going to be fine. The question is, how much will their desires and their way they find reward change what we do?
I don't know. We'll
I say we. I don't do fucking shit, but you know what I mean.
You do it more than
I'm going to have that restaurant for at least the
Goddamn
next
shit.
30 years because
Right.
I'm tied to a serious
You're gonna be
mortgage
dead
now.
in 10.
I don't know. Probably.
Maybe 5.
If I'm not dead yet, dude, I should have
It's
died.
true.
I should have died a couple years ago for sure. Oh yeah.
Well, as a person who's known Steve for 20 plus years, I can attest to
Yeah,
that.
I don't know, man. I feel like Keith Richards sometimes.
Yeah.
That guy's still rocking.
He's still better looking than you are, though.
I know. That's the heroin.
I
does
like him
something to you,
bigger.
man.
I like him bigger.
So to wind up
anyways.
today, I just want to. We talked about when somebody eats something and it brings them an emotional experience.
Yep.
Preferably not a terrible emotional experience.
Right.
What was the last thing you ate that did that for you, Steve? Can you think about it? And Ed, you as well.
It's always, dude, it's my mom's crockpot stroganoff because my grandma used to make it, and I just every freaking time. And it's like, the Campbell mushroom soup
Oh yeah, old
joint
school.
with like the onion packet because I'll never forget. That's grandma's house. That's what it smelled like. And it's just like I walk in my parents' house, like boom, there I am. There's grandma right there. And she's been gone for 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
So every time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've had a couple. I don't know. I'm trying to think of.
Well, why don't we switch to Ed?
Yeah,
And if
go
you
ahead.
think of a restaurant experience where
Yeah.
you had that happen, where it
Okay.
wasn't somebody who knows what you grew up with.
Yeah.
I just like you're talking about your grandma. Like if my mother, if my girlfriend, like if anybody takes time to make something for me and it's unexpected, it's just like, and drops it off. Like my mom dropped off soup the other day. She made chili. Like come home and Jess makes meatballs, and it takes her forever because there's a lot that goes into it. And it's just like that type of stuff is just like people. That's for me the biggest sign of someone cares. It's
Yep.
like a huge gift. It's like
Yes.
I did this because you do. Like I cook all day,
Right.
and I can be the most emaciated. Like little. I don't eat. Like I can make $65 steaks all day, and just never once just even think about feeding myself. But for someone to take time out of their day,
I stopped doing that, but yeah, I understand.
Really?
Like when somebody cooks for you, like we do it for a job, and I mean, obviously do it because we love it. But when like somebody who doesn't cook cooks for you, it's because they want to give you nutrition and they thought about you enough to take at least an hour to make something for you, and that's awesome. When I broke my ankle, people were dropping off food left and right. Middle of winter, I'm freaking depressed as shit with a busted ankle, and all my friends, like, hey, I brought you some, I brought you soup, and I'm just like, I love you right now, you're the best, Yeah, so.
And I would suppose that for a diner to be able to feel that that's the care that a chef took with their meal is the most dynamite combination that you could ever manage to, like, if you can make that work, synchronize that, where what you're trying to put out there is received
Right.
in the way in which you intended.
I think the majority of people don't understand how much work actually goes into one plate of food.
Right.
Especially, I know that
When
what
you're
we
making
do,
everything from scratch, the
holy
bread,
crap.
the butter, the
yeah,
stock,
dude, I mean,
everything.
freaking pigs, lambs, all that shit, like breaking them down, like it's a lot of work, It takes about 16 hours to process a whole hog, like man hours to get the whole thing
Not to
dialed
mention
in.
the amount of time that it has, the cured things
Right.
have to
Yeah.
hang
Yeah.
and all that.
Once, that's, but I'm saying like to, make sausage, grind it, like clean up all the, seam it out and get all the freaking
Did you say
garbage.
semen?
Semen out.
I mean, like
Semen out, bro.
So the whole local food thing is lovely. It's great. Like we're practically partners with like 4 local dudes, like for meat and vegetables, the both of us. And it's like, we had Dan Oles come in for dinner, and it's like
I love that.
it's so fucking pretty, and it made me so happy. But
No
it's
eggplant or tomatoes, though, dude. Oh man, or mushrooms.
to be able to give, somebody who basically without them, I wouldn't be able to do what I do.
Right.
Without Team Edo, neither of us really would be able to do what we do. Without these connections, they're essentially partners in our restaurant. Like, we're successful because they give us great shit. We don't cut them a check quarterly for profits, but every week there's a $900 pig and $600 of vegetables.
And it's nice that we've now doubled our production. Like, for 5 years we had these guys coming in, and now it's like, we drop freaking bombs on Dan Oles now.
Mm-hmm.
It's insane. And Rich too. I mean, I'm getting 2 pigs every 2 weeks. It's nuts. And
it's not some cutesy, cooking arts magazine thing where we're like, we use local vegetables and this is cute. And it's like, no, we fucking use it because their vegetables are better. They taste better. Yep. They're fresh. The dude picks it.
If they weren't, then we wouldn't use them. Yeah. Just because it's local doesn't mean it's good. It's got to be good first.
There's a few farmers.
Local isn't better. Better is better.
Sure is.
If you're bringing in rotten fucking shitty vegetables,
compost for $15 a pound.
Yeah, we're not hanging out.
Nope.
You're not my guy. I'm not calling you every week.
Nope.
But so
right.
Fuck the local movement. Fuck good. All we want is good food.
Good food.
Right. Excellent. All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Krista. Thanks,
Tommy
Bartlett.
Satan and what is it?
Satan and Slim Jims, baby. This concludes Slim Jims and Satan, episode 1.
Motherfucker.
Motherfucker.
Yeah.